see the thumbnail. You oh boy, you see the thumb. Hello and welcome to Big Dash Knows. Big Dash knows what? New York Giants football. Let's go. We finally got the presser. We finally got Joe Schoen, GM Joe Schoen, at the podium to answer questions about what's going on with the New York Giants this season. And boy, did it deliver. But let me say this. He really didn't say anything. But with him not saying too much of anything, he said a lot. Boy, did he say a lot. And guess what? The beat writers did a fantastic job of applying some pressure. Now, he did skate a couple of questions. You can tell what was rehearsed and what wasn't as far as some of his answers, how quick he was to answer certain questions. But boy, did he look uncomfortable. Did he look uncomfortable when they got some of those rebuttals? Shout out to the beat writers, man. Shout out to the beat writers. Shout out to Pat Leonard for hanging out in the spaces right after the presser. And I'm just sitting here like, yeah, I got some of the answers that I wanted. And then also I said, oh man, I saw how uncomfortable he was. But without further ado, let's talk about some of the things that he had to talk about. This is not in order. I put out a bunch of clips on Twitter. I had screen recorded the presser. I saw that the Giants did put up the presser. It looks like it was 26 minutes. I think the real one was maybe a little bit over 30 minutes. So they did some editing. Most likely there was some editing that was happening because there was a lot of things that was said. So first off, one of the first questions they asked Joe Schoen was about Daniel Jones. And to no one's surprise, he was non-committal to Daniel Jones. They're going to make the best football decision is the answer that Joe Schoen had when he was asked about whether or not Daniel Jones was going to be the starter moving forward. We're going to review everybody. And we're going to make the best football decision for the team. Another thing that I thought was weird and funny, he mentioned that the team practiced today. You tell me, in what world does an NFL team practice the second day into their bye week? Where does that happen? Certain things are telling. Why are you practicing today? What are you getting ready for? Another rumor that went out today was that there's some issues within the building saying that Daniel Jones does not want to be the second string quarterback. If he's not the starter, he doesn't want to be the second string either. I don't know how true that is. That is just a rumor that has been floating around. Does it have legs? I absolutely do not know. But we'll find out the answer to that soon too. But man, non-committal to Daniel Jones. The writing is on the wall. The writing is on the wall for Joe Schoen, for these New York Giants, especially for Daniel Jones and also Brian Daboll. Speaking of Brian Daboll, he was asked about Brian Daboll. You know, he said, obviously, you want the team to be playing better. Nobody's happy with 2-8. Of course, nobody's happy with 2-8. Who would be happy with 2-8? Nobody is. Not a surprise. Not a surprise at all. But when he just started talking about some of the reasons why we're losing these games, and he hung his hat on, we're 1-5 in one-score games. We're 1-5 in close games. Where I'm from, where a lot of you're from, almost doesn't count. Almost does not count. I'm sorry. You either win games or you lose games. And I'm sorry. 1-5 in games that are close just won't cut it. But he also said, talked about penalties, talking about gameplay, talking about lack of effort in certain occasions. But he also mentioned, and he went right through it really quickly, and sometimes it's the game plan for the week. And my ears perked up a little bit when he said that. Sometimes it's the game plan for the week. You know what I get from that? And maybe I'm overthinking things, but you know what I get from just that one comment? That is you separating yourself from your head coach. Sometimes it's the game plan. Sometimes it's, things are penalties. Sometimes execution. He's separating himself from Brian Dable. So that's the first time that I've seen a disconnect or a wedge. And I might be overthinking things, but when you look for something, most likely you'll find it. That's the first little wedge I've seen between Joe Schoen and Brian Dable, and I'm seeing how Joe Schoen has separated himself a little bit, separating himself from his head coach. You let me know how you feel about it. Like I said, the video is up now. You could talk about that. Another thing that I noticed also is Joe Schoen gushed all over this year's rookie class. He talked about Newbin, he talked about Phillips, all their stats, all their grades, talked about Theo Johnson, gushed all over Tyrone Tracy. He talked about all these guys contributing this year. A rebuttal came from the crowd. Well, what about the rest of the classes? What about Tay Banks? I love the beat writers today. I absolutely love the beat writers today. What about Tay Banks? What about his question effort on the field? And he just said, well, that was just one play. But, what about the CD Lamb play? Oh, okay, maybe there's two plays. Oh, when Joe Schoen made a joke about somebody's agent, hemming and hawing, that's exactly what he was doing today, hemming and hawing, and he was uncomfortable. You can tell when he was ready to answer questions about the roster, he was ready to talk about this draft class and all of the grades and how these guys are doing. But when somebody threw that curveball in and started talking about the other draft classes, boy, I don't think there was a bottle of water on the table, if I'm being honest. Because Lord, if there was a bottle of water on the table, he would have took a drink. And guess what? People pay attention to us. I got to go back and look. I wasn't paying attention to whether or not there was a water bottle or not, but I don't remember him drinking. And maybe because people have seen him, whenever he gets nervous, he starts fiddling around with the water bottle, twisting the cap, untwisting the cap, taking a sip. I guess they say, you know what? Let's just remove the water bottle off of the podium altogether. I might just be tripping a little bit. Maybe there was a water bottle, but I don't remember a water bottle being on that table. He also talked about, hold on, I got the handy dandy notebook here. I'm going to make sure I get to all these points. He was asked, somebody asked him, he said, Joe Schoen, do you regret or would you change anything this offseason in regards to the quarterback position? He stammered a little bit. Said, the quarterback? No, I wouldn't change anything. And then they said, what about the Russell Wilson situation? Stammered again. And you saw him getting nervous. And the temperature got turned up in the room. And you could see a little bit of smoke and steam coming out of his collar. Oh my gosh. I don't know, man. To me, it seems like the writing is on the wall. When he was asked about, the future moving forward, he was talking about the next 7 games. Oh, we got to see. I'm only concerned about the next 7 games. We got to see what happens in the next 7 games. So that sounds to me like the promise that John Mara made 3 weeks ago, followed by 3 straight losses, is not the same promise that's happening right now. I think they're going to evaluate exactly what's going on in these next 7 games. And finally, you see these guys try to make a move. They haven't confirmed it yet, but we already know what it is. Because every other time when they were asked about Daniel Jones, what did they do? Daniel Jones is a starter. Daniel Jones We're gonna keep Daniel Jones is the guy. Daniel Jones is my quarterback. Every other time, and then we've seen in back-to-back pressers, both Brian Dable and Joe Schoen did not commit to Daniel Jones, and nobody's dumb. Nobody's stupid. We all know what that means. It's either Tommy DeVito time or Drew Lock time. And it sucks too, because this is my favorite team in the world. But sometimes you gotta tear everything down to build it back up the right way. And I'm not saying that I'm for sure. I know what I would do if it was me. All 3 of them would be gone. If I'm taking a guess, most likely at least 2 of these guys are gone. But if we end up not winning games and not showing any kind of life going into the finishing out these last 7 games, everybody's gone. Everybody's gone. And they're going to start from scratch. And it sucks and it hurts and you hate to do it and you don't want to start over again. But right now, nothing's fixed. Instead of moving forward, we're actually moving backwards. We had our best year, the first year of the regime, and every step since then has been a step back. Now, you can be I've heard a lot of people say this too. Oh, well, this draft class is performing so well. Joe Schoen is finally getting it right. Well, these guys are playing because they're forced to play. They were thrown out there. And yes, it might be a good thing at the end, but right now, it is what it is, and Joe Schoen is in pure panic mode. So I'm going to say to you, what do you guys think? I'm going to ask you that question. What do you guys think? He made such an emphasis on 7 games, the 7 games that are left. What do you think was told to Joe Schoen and Brian Dable? To me, it's pretty clear. They better win some games in these next 7 games or else it's curtains for all y'all. Curtains. Curtains for all of them. And Daniel Jones is just the first guy out of the door. But here's the thing too. If it's true about Daniel Jones not wanting to be the quarterback too, if he's not the starter, he don't fine. Guess what? You don't want him getting hurt at all. You don't want to have to pay an extra $23 million. So if you're going to shut him down and you have to shut him down completely because of his attitude, again, this is hearsay rumors and stuff, then so be it. I'm fine. We're losing already. I'm fine with Drew Lock and Tommy DeVito finishing out these last 7 games, and we can see what happens when it happens. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. But with that being said, I want to thank everybody for vibing with me. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And from one Giants fan to another, this is Big Dash Knows, Big Blue Nation. Let's go.